you are welcome in this class. And today we are going to discuss nutrient use efficiency in detail. Means it will cover some aspects related to nutrient use efficiency. And fundamentally, we are going to discuss some terminology related to nutrient use efficiency. And you will also know what are the factors that affect the nutrient use efficiency. Generally speaking, whatever factors affect the nutrient availability and uptake of the nutrients by the plants, and also the plant growth, all these factors will affect your nutrient use efficiency, which is very, very important. And then we will know how to improve the nutrient use efficiency. Friends, if we know the reasons, if we know the factors why a particular thing is going down, or why nutrient use efficiency is low, then we can easily manage those factors. First thing is that we should know what are the things that are causing low nutrient use efficiency. And then same way we can overcome, we can remove those factors. So we will see how to manage or how to enhance the nutrient use efficiency. So let us see in the beginning what is nutrient use efficiency. Many people have defined nutrient use efficiency in different terms, like biomass yield, per unit nutrient applied, per unit nutrient utilized or absorbed, like this. And also the key thing in this are biomass. Biomass may be in terms of dry matter, maybe in terms of grain, maybe in terms of grain plus straw. There are different ways. This biomass can also be with respect to nitrogen removed, nitrogen uptake by a particular crop, nitrogen uptake in straw, nitrogen uptake in grain, and so many ways. And so far input is concerned, input may be rate of application or nutrient uptake. Many times I may take nutrient use efficiency as nitrogen use efficiency. Sometimes it will happen, but you consider it is totally the nutrient use efficiency. So see the first definition by Graham, and nutrient use efficiency of a genotype for elements separately. For each new element, we generally calculate nutrient use efficiency separately. It is very uncommon to combine two or more nutrients to get the nutrient use efficiency. So NUE of a genotype is the ability to produce a high yield. Remember, underline it, high yield. We want more and more yield, more and more biomass in a soil that is limited in that element for a standard genotype. So means particularly under limited nutrient condition, if a genotype can produce more biomass, more grain yield, then we can say it is having high nutrient use efficiency. But same way, the same genotype should also be able to produce high yields, high biomass under sufficient nutrient supply also, not just limited. Under sufficient means under both conditions, it should be able to perform. But particularly with respect to limited nutrient condition, it should excel. It should do or produce good biomass. So there are many definitions, and the best one I found is the nutrient use efficiency can be defined as the maximum economic yield produced per unit of nitrogen applied, absorbed, or utilized by the plant to produce grain and straw. So this is simplest definition of nutrient use efficiency. And as such, we know what is efficiency. Efficiency means we use variety of inputs, and those inputs are converted into output. That is what we call production. So in production, many inputs are transformed into output. So efficiency is output divided by input. Out in any term, in any sphere of our life, we talk about efficiency, output divided by input. How much time you invest your studies and how much you remember, how much you learn. That is also your efficiency. Output means your knowledge and input is your time spent and sincerity. So that will show your efficiency. If in less time, if you can learn more, that means you are efficient. Same is the case of, say, petrol. Uh, 30, 40 years before, in 1 liter petrol, car or motorbike could run 20 kilometers. But now we have bikes that can give you mileage of 40 kilometers in 1 liter. So that means efficiency is improving. Similarly, in case of nutrient, if each unit of nutrient can produce more biomass, more economic yield, more star, more dry matter, then we can say the efficiency is improving. In this case, you can see output divided by input. Output is your numerator. Numerator means which is above the line, numerator. And denominator is your below the line. You normally keep it below the line. So you divide numerator by denominator. So if your numerator is increasing and your denominator is constant, your efficiency is improving. Or your input or denominator is decreasing, again your efficiency is improving. So same happens with case of nutrients. Nutrient use efficiency is ratio that considered an output. This is your output as the numerator and input as your denominator. So nutrient supply is your denominator and biological yield or store yield, economic yield is your numerator. So biological yield here, the sense could be the biomass as such and also the nitrogen or nutrient removed in the biomass. That may be taken as numerator. Economic yield also include grain yield or total grain nitrogen or nutrient, and for nutrient here. Now you can see the formula, you can make for different formulas of nutrient use efficiency. So see the first row where you have output divided by input. It is the ratio, nutrient use efficiency. So output may be in terms of biological yield or economic yield. And in biological yield, you can have output with respect to above ground biomass or above ground nitrogen. How much nitrogen has been accumulated in the above ground biomass. Similarly, in economic yield, you can have grain biomass or grain yield and also grain nitrogen. How much nitrogen is removed or accumulated in the grain. So this is all about output. Depending upon the formula, you use them. Sometimes you can use above ground biomass, grain biomass or nitrogen. Similarly for input, you can have nitrogen supply or nitrogen uptake. If you have supply can come from soil, fertilizer. You can take either just fertilizer or soil plus fertilizer. Similarly, in an uptake, you can take soil, nitrogen coming from soil, or fertilizer or soil plus fertilizer. Based upon different varieties of output and input, the different terminology have been developed. And you can see in the next slide what kind of terminology is there. Partial factor productivity of nitrogen. It can be calculated for phosphorus, for potassium, for separately each nutrient we can calculate partial factor productivity. Normally, it is yield in fertilized plot where you have applied divided by rate of fertilizer. Just two things, yield divided by nitrogen applied. How much nitrogen was applied? This is partial factor productivity, and normally it is 40 to 70 kg grain per kg nitrogen. Partial factor productivity. But under well-managed system, it can go as high as 70 kg. So these are general ideas. And these values belong to cereal crops, rice, wheat, maize, etc. Similarly, agronomic efficiency of nutrient, maybe just nitrogen or nutrient. So it is yield in fertilized plot where you have applied nitrogen minus yield in control and divided by rate of application of nitrogen or nutrient, any nutrient. So normally agronomic efficiency ranges from 10 to 30 kg grain per kg nitrogen. Actually, this is 10 to 30 kg grain increase per kg nitrogen. Under well-managed systems, you can get more than 30 kg agronomic efficiency, 30 kg grain. Similarly, recovery efficiency mostly used by soil scientists, and recovery efficiency is nitrogen uptake in fertilized plot where you applied nitrogen minus nitrogen uptake or nutrient uptake in control divided by rate of fertilizer applied in terms of nutrient, say N, P, K or whatever you have. And you can multiply it by 100 also. You can multiply it by 100 to get the result in percentage. So it may be 30 to 50%, and under well-managed system, it can go from 50 to 80% also. And then finally, physiological efficiency is yield in nitrogen applied plot or fertilized plot minus yield in control divided by uptake of nitrogen or nutrient in fertilized plot minus uptake of that nutrient in control. So this is how we can work out physiological efficiency, and it is 30 to 60 kg per kg, and this is also increase. In well-managed system, it can go more than 60 kg per kg. So these are 4-5 important terms related to nutrient use efficiency, and all have their values. Particularly recovery efficiency is used by many people, and normally we get it by difference method. Means we see how much nitrogen is removed in the treated plot where we applied fertilizer minus uptake of nitrogen or nutrient from the control plot. But that is not very scientific. People call it apparent nitrogen recovery. Means instead of recovery efficiency, it is better to call it apparent nitrogen recovery. To know the exact amount of nitrogen removed, scientists use isotopes. Nitrogen isotopes are used to exactly calculate the recovery efficiency of a nutrient. Now you can see the relationship between yield potential and nutrient uptake. On x-axis, you see it is the increasing nutrient. The rate of application is increasing on x-axis and yield potential on y-axis. So up to 100. So you can see as you increase the yield is increasing, and application is increasing, the nutrient use efficiency or nitrogen use efficiency goes down. So this is the problem, that as you apply more of nutrient, the yield increases, but at the same time the nutrient use efficiency start decreasing. So we have to find out the levels of nutrient use efficiency where you get maximum returns. Then that will be the ideal level. We need to make a best combination of these two, so that of course nitrogen use efficiency will decrease as you go on increasing the dose of the fertilizer. But what is the ideal level of fertilizer where you get the most acceptable nutrient use efficiency? That is to be found out. Now you can see nitrogen use efficiency just to show you some data. Means how much are the values of nitrogen use efficiency or nitrogen use efficiency in this case. So you see N rate is 30, 60, 90, 120 and so on. See, just see the formula is also there, you can remember it. Agronomic efficiency is change in kg grain, means how much change is there in the output per kg nitrogen added. So this is 35, 32, 22. You can see it is decreasing. As you increase the rate of nitrogen from 30 to 60, 90 and so on, the agronomic efficiency decreases. Similarly, physiological efficiency, it increases up to 90 kg. Here it increases up to 90 kg, but that means it is responding up to 90 kg. It is increasing at increasing rate, you can say, and then it starts falling. So it is decreasing, and similar is the case of agrophysiological efficiency, which is change in kg grain per kg nitrogen uptake per kg nitrogen. Here two things are combined, agronomic efficiency and physiological efficiency. So they call it agrophysiological efficiency. So it is also showing similar, it is increasing up to 90, but then it starts falling. Apparent recovery of nitrogen is 49 or 50, almost same, and then it starts decreasing. Utilization efficiency, change in kg grain plus straw divided by nitrogen added. So again, it increases from 30. So most of the cases, up to certain level, it may increase. The nutrient use efficiency may increase. That is the level, certain level, and beyond which they start decreasing. So this is the trend in all kind of nutrient use efficiencies. And on an average, the recovery for nitrogen fertilizer 30 to 50, nitrogen from manure 20 to 40, phosphorus 15 to 20, potassium 30 to 40, and micronutrients 0.5 to 5. And many people say it is less than 2%, 2% for micronutrients. And if you see world over, the trends in nitrogen use efficiency in different years. So with the passage of time, you can see the nitrogen use efficiency of cereal production is decreasing. You can see it is decreasing. So this is matter of concern, particularly in case of nitrogen. And same is happening with other nutrients also. Use efficiency of many nutrients is declining. Means same amount of nutrient used to produce more 30 years before. But now the same amount of nutrient is producing less. That means nutrient use efficiency is decreasing. So then we need to increase the nutrient use efficiency. Definitely it is too low. There are several issues. So question comes that why to increase the nutrient use efficiency? So first and topmost reason is economic compulsions. Because to get the same yield, farmers are required to apply more and more. That means the cost of production will increase. Because to get the same yield, you need to apply twice or 1.5 times more of the nutrient. Then farmers may not get the desirable profits. So low recovery means apply more fertilizer. Means apply more fertilizer means invest more money. So that way farmers will be in loss. Also, to get the same yield, you need to increase the nutrient amounts, nutrient quantities. Then definitely it is going to be lost. If your recovery is low, then nutrients will be lost to the environment, particularly nitrogen, sulfur, and similar nutrients. There are also certain political compulsion. If we have low nutrient use efficiency, then we need to import more of potassium, more of sulfur, more of phosphorus or phosphate rock to prepare phosphatic fertilizer. So hence our dependence on other countries will be more. But if we require less amount of these raw materials, then our dependence will decrease. So that is how some political or policy issues are also there. That means we should enhance nutrient use efficiency. And technology is available now. People have shown through experimentation that nutrient use efficiency, particularly say in case of nitrogen, can be achieved by 60%. Instead of 30, we can double it up to 60%, but it is still low. Now, why this nutrient use efficiency is low? So there are some important reasons. So as usual, you remember factors affecting plant growth. And here you have two things, output and input. Output is your crop growth, crop yield, and input is your fertilizer rate or nutrient rate. So we need to see first how to increase the output, keep the levels of input constant, how we can improve the output. So same factor will work here, which are responsible for growth of the crop, better growth of the crop. Similarly, how to decrease the input means fertilizer application. So if we improve soil properties, if we are able to improve the conditions of the soil, biological conditions, physical conditions or chemical conditions of the soil, its nutrient supply capacity will increase. And the losses of nutrients from soil will improve, will decrease. So these are the things which are to be managed. So we can categorize these factors that affect the nutrient use efficiency: soil factors, fertilizer factors, crop factors, biotic factors, climatic factors, agronomic factors. Almost same factors we are studying everywhere. In nutrient supply we have studied, in plant growth we have studied. Only the packaging, the presentation will change. Only your language will change. The factors will remain same. The way you describe them, they are different. So for example, soil factors, how soil factors affect nutrient use efficiency. Means many soil factors will affect the crop growth and similarly the nutrient requirement. So low supply of nutrient is a concern. You have applied the nutrient, but they are not supplied to the roots. For example, low soil fertility, salinity, alkalinity, these kind of things hinders the transformation of nutrient, their mineralization and their availability. Low organic matter content is always responsible for low nutrient use efficiency because it improves physical chemical conditions of the soil. High or low water holding capacity, water logging and extreme means your moisture conditions need to be ideal in the soil. Soil should be such which can store more water. So water and nutrient interaction, I think you understand, that is very, very important. So all these kind of soil factors are going to affect the nutrient use efficiency. For example, you have two comparable soils. One is sandy soil, other is medium texture soil or clay soil. You have applied same kind of same quantity of nutrients in both. So you will have more nutrient use efficiency in medium texture or heavy texture soil than light soil. Because in light soil you have low cation exchange capacity, losses are more, and hence the uptake of the or availability of the nutrient will be less. So this is how we can define soil factors, how soil factors can affect the nutrient use efficiency. Next is your fertilizer factors. Fertilizer factors are source, rate, method, and time. And in this, you can remember the acronyms DOSTM, DOSTM. DOSTM means you can explain it D for dose, S for source, T for time, M for method. So source of fertilizer also affects efficiency. For example, in case of phosphorus, you have single superphosphate, DAP, MAP, or TSP, triple superphosphate, and you also have rock phosphate. All other fertilizers are water soluble, and rock phosphate is even citrate insoluble. So in this case, the use efficiency of water soluble fertilizer, P fertilizer, will be more than the rock phosphate. So source will affect. Similarly, in case of rice, ammonical fertilizer, ammonium sulfate will have more efficiency than sodium nitrate, calcium nitrate, etc. So even more than urea, this ammonium sulfate will have more efficiency than urea in case of rice. So this has been proved. So source will affect the use efficiency of the nutrient. Rate, generally we need to find out the optimum rates. Of course, at too less rate of fertilizer application, nutrient use efficiency will be high, but may not be economically desirable. So rate of application, generally as we go on increasing the rate of application, the nutrient use efficiency goes down. Method of application, for example, if you go for foliar application, the nutrient use efficiency will be more than the soil or basal application where we broadcast the fertilizer. Similarly, if you place the fertilizer, phosphatic fertilizer, potassic fertilizer, are placed in the bands in soil, and they are covered with the soil, then you will have more efficiency than their broadcast application. But this is applicable to water soluble phosphatic fertilizer. Water soluble phosphatic fertilizer should be used in rows, in bands, in the furrows. They should be applied in furrows so that water soluble fertilizer may come to the minimum contact of soil. Minimum contact of soil, if they come, then their fixation will be less. However, if you have citrate insoluble fertilizer like rock phosphate, so rock phosphate should never be applied in bands of furrows. It should be broadcast and mixed in soil. Then it will come in the maximum contact of the soil, maximum volume of soil it will be covering. So therefore, solubilization here, the solubilization will happen more instead of putting this rock phosphate in bands. So method of application affects your nutrient use efficiency. Time of application, definitely if you apply phosphorus top dressing after say 30, 40, 50 days after sowing a crop, its use efficiency will be very low. So basically phosphatic and potassic fertilizer should be applied when you are sowing the crop. Generally, they are not recommended in standing crops. However, in some cases, potassium has been recommended for top dressing in rice and wheat crops. But so far, as far as possible, they should be applied basally in furrows. So these are the factors which affect fertilizer factor. And now we go to crop factors. In crop factors, individual crop will have different nutrient use efficiency. And also within a crop, you have varieties or cultivars or genotypes. They may vary with the nutrient use efficiency. Some may be nutrient use efficient, some may not be. So here it is shown that in this example, maize is more nutrient use efficient here than rice and wheat. Rice is better than wheat. So the crop nutrient use efficiency varies from the crop to crop. Generally speaking, in India, we get more nutrient use efficiency in winter crops than in rainy season crops. Because in rainy season crops, generally losses are more. Losses of nutrient, particularly nitrogen, are more than in winter. And you can see this example where they have taken several data from farmers' field. And they have found that in maize, the recovery of nitrogen is 37%. In rice, it is 31%. And maybe under Asia's field-specific management, better management, from 31, it can go to 40% in rice. And in wheat, it is 18% under unfavorable weather. If you have favorable weather, then wheat can give you 49%. So here you can see that the use efficiency of wheat is more than rice. So definitely it will vary with the varieties, also kind of cultivars we are using. The nutrient use efficiency will be affected by that. So, sorry. So now we need to see what are the nutrient use efficient cultivars. Nutrient efficient crops or genotypes would have substantial impact in improving the crop yields because it does not need extra investment. Just you need to select a particular variety which can use zinc, iron, phosphorus, nitrogen better. Generally means we identify varieties or genotypes for a specific nutrient. People don't identify variety which uses 2 or 3 or 4 different kind of nutrients efficiently. It is mostly individual nutrients are targeted. So you see, people have defined in their own way nutrient use efficient cultivars. Differences in growth and nutrient use efficiency in plants have been related to differences in absorption. Why a particular cultivar is nutrient use efficient and why other is not? Because there may be difference in absorption, but one may be efficient in absorbing a particular nutrient than other. Translocation may be better in one genotype than other for a particular element. Shoot demand may be less or more. Dry matter production per unit of nutrient absorbed may be more. See, in many cases, sometimes you give lot of food to a child who is from a well-off family, and he may not become mota, he may not become a fat man. But there may be cases where a poor man or poor person's boy who is not getting enough nutrition, even then he is very strong. He can be Pehlwan. So it matters that how is your biological system, how you absorb the nutrients and how you utilize them. So same analogy can be extended here. Means some genotypes may be using your available nutrients more efficiently. They can produce more. So nutrient efficient genotype is one that better converts nutrient inputs into desired output than other genotypes, which by comparison are nutrient inefficient. So friends, these are the definition of nutrient use efficient genotype. You can see them if they are useful to you, and all are conveying almost same message. So you can go through these definitions. Now, one important index is to test which genotype is more efficient and which is less efficient. So in this case, we have one index which is called as grain yield efficiency index. This index is used to identify nutrient use efficient genotype. So it was first time proposed by Faggeria and his co-workers in 1988. So it is grain yield of a genotype at low N level divided by average grain yield of all genotypes at low level. Low N level means nutrient level. If you are dealing with zinc, you can put zinc. If you are dealing with nitrogen, put nitrogen. Into grain yield of a genotype at high N level divided by average grain yield of all genotypes at high N level. Means, suppose you have a field and you are screening different genotypes. You have 10 genotypes of a crop and you have, say, 4 levels of nitrogen, 0, 30, 16, 90, and you have 10 genotypes. So in this case, the lowest level is 30 kg nitrogen and highest level is 90 kg nitrogen. So in this case, grain yield of a genotype at low N level means at 30 kg level, and then average grain yield of all genotypes at low N level. You can take the average. Likewise, at highest level, it is 90. Then what was the yield of a genotype at 90 kg nitrogen? And then average grain yield of all genotypes at 90 nitrogen level. So you can easily understand this by some example. If your values of grain yield index, efficiency index is more than 1, then your genotype is efficient. Otherwise, if it is zero point 0.5 to 1, then it is moderately efficient, and if it is less than 0.5, then it is inefficient nutrient user. Maybe any nutrient you can fit, or you can use this formula for phosphorus, for zinc, for sulfur, for any element. This we have done it for nitrogen. You can see there are different genotypes on the x-axis. On y-axis you have grain yield efficiency index. So in this case you can see some genotypes are having more than one grain yield efficiency index. That means they are nitrogen use efficient. In this case it was nitrogen. And genotypes which are having 0.87, 0.68 are moderately nitrogen use efficient. Moderately nitrogen use efficient. Similarly, now question comes that what is the criteria, how to judge that a particular nutrient is nitrogen use efficient, or for any nutrient. So it has been matter of discussion, and many people agree that it is the harvest index. If a genotype is having more harvest index, then it is nitrogen use efficient. Otherwise, lower the value of harvest index, inefficient is the genotype in nitrogen use. So in this example, you can see that the superior genotype minus inferior genotypes, harvest index, difference in harvest index. Just see the HI is written in the graph. So you can see there is huge difference in inferior genotype and superior. On the top, you have two lines. These lines are represented by superior genotypes. And then the third line is represented by the inferior genotypes. On x-axis, you have available nitrogen, which is increasing. On y-axis, you have grain yield. So see the two lines on the top. So these two lines are superior cultivars, and the third line is inferior cultivar. If you see the difference in harvest index, it is huge difference. That means above two genotypes are superior or are nitrogen use efficient, and lower one is inefficient. And also see the differences in nitrogen percentage. Differences in nitrogen percentage in shoot also important. More the nitrogen content in shoot, more will be transferred to grain, more will be harvest index. So this is how people say that harvest index is a better criterion to see the nitrogen use efficiency in rice cultivars. Now, why certain genotypes are nutrient use efficient? We explained, and you can go through all these explanation why certain genotypes are. Mainly differences occur in the roots. Root hairs may be more, root length may be more, root may be finer for nutrient use efficient genotypes, and also the root shoot ratio may be more, and mycorrhizal fungi association may be there with particular genotype. Other genotype it may not be that much effective, and so forth. And certain genotypes may excrete root exudates that can solubilize the fixed elements, fixed nutrients in the soil. So that way certain genotypes can increase the nutrient availability for themselves by releasing certain root exudates. Now, biotic factors also affect the nutrient use efficiency. For example, beneficial microbes. Beneficial microbes, if you have more population, they will definitely increase the nutrient use efficiency by decomposing or making the nutrients available. Weeds and insect pests and disease will decrease your biomass. So biomass means numerator. So once the yields are low, biomass are low, your nutrient use efficiency will be low due to weeds or disease. Now, climatic factors, I think I need not to go into detail, because you understand how these climatic factors will affect the plant growth and yield. We have discussed in detail, in much detail. You understand role of temperature in biomass, growth, yield, this and that. And similarly, all these factors are also associated with the nutrient supply. Also, the outcome of nutrient supply will be the yield or your biomass. It is affected by these factors, and also the availability and the losses of nutrients are also affected by these factors. If these factors favor the growth, your nutrient use efficiency will be more. If these factors favor the less losses of nutrients from the soil, then definitely nutrient use efficiency will be there. So very easy to understand. Now you see agronomic factors. There are several agronomic factors starting from sowing time to harvesting. All the cultural practices that we do in soil will affect the nutrient use efficiency. For example, continuous use of fertilizer nitrogen alone Imbalanced fertilization will lead to the reduced nutrient use efficiency. Intensive cropping or your emerging deficiency of micronutrients. I think out of 17 nutrients, if one nutrient is missing, the use of others will be affected. I think you understand very well law of minimum. So based upon that, the nutrient use efficiency will decrease if your nutrient proportion is imbalanced in the soil. Fertilizer application mostly not based on soil test values. We should go for soil testing, and according to that, we should apply all the nutrients to make the balanced supply of nutrient. And in addition, inadequate addition of the organic manures is also there, and inappropriate time method of fertilizer application. Phosphatic fertilizer, if you apply by top dressing, its use efficiency will be low. So I think we have discussed this method. Excessive use of irrigation water, that is very dangerous. Waterlogging conditions will encourage your leaching. There may be inhibition of oxygen supply in the soil, and the nutrient solubilization and nutrient availability will decline, except one or two nutrients. So excessive irrigation should be avoided. This may decrease your plant growth and hence your nutrient use efficiency. Inadequate availability of appropriate kind of fertilizer at right time. It very frequently happens with our farmers. Many times during the sowing season, sometimes fertilizers are not available and farmers cannot apply. So shortage of supply happens. So because of that, farmer may not apply potash and phosphorus at the time of sowing. So that way his nutrient use efficiency may decrease. Low status of carbon, soil degradation, sodicity, alkalinity, all these chemical degradation of soil, physical degradation of soil affect the nutrient use efficiency. And there are so many other factors: delayed sowing, low seed rate, poor weed management, inefficient tillage, all cultural practices, inefficient irrigation, rainwater management, monoculture. In monoculture, I discussed the nutrient use efficiency decreases because of use of certain nutrients in higher amounts than the others. Lack of capturing water nutrient synergistic interaction, inadequate plant protection, abnormal or high or low temperatures. So all these agronomic factors affect. Now what to do? How to increase the use efficiency of nutrient or nutrient use efficiency? There are a lot of strategies. Now we understand what are the factors that has affected the nutrient use efficiency. If we reverse those factors, if we manage those factors, we can increase the nutrient use efficiency. For example, if fertilizer source is affecting the nutrient use efficiency, so we can take the efficient source. So this is the strategy. Rate, we can identify the optimum rate. Source means we can use slow release fertilizer or nitrification inhibitor in case of nitrogen. In others, micronutrients, we can use chelated compounds. So there are options. There are efficient nutrient sources that can be used. Now smart fertilizers are coming into pictures, NPK fertilizers. So lots of choices are there. So that way we can tell the answer how to increase the nutrient use efficiency. So each we can describe. Use of good quality seeds, sowing cultivar of high yield potential. Let us choose the nutrient use efficient genotype. And in this direction, not much work has been done by breeders in India. Only in few crops we have identified certain cultivars which are nutrient use efficient. But this area is wide open. One can do research on this, identify genotypes, and if we identify a nutrient use efficient genotype, that can be directly used in the field or that can be used by the breeders. Because this is nutrient use efficient, the gene can be taken from this cultivar to the other high yielding cultivar and so on. So friends, I just forgot to tell you, there is a lot of genetics of nutrient use efficiency. There are volumes of books, volumes of research papers on this aspect. I do not understand actually that subject, but a lot of work has been done on nitrogen use efficiency genetics. QTL have been identified in different crops, and they are doing some work, but result is not there. Result is not there in practice. So seed treatment, adequate seed, and control of soil erosion, use of proper rotation, top dressing nitrogen, it is important. In case of nitrogen, you should go for split application. If your soil is light, go for at least 3 to 4 split application of nitrogen in light soil. If your soil is heavy, go for 2 to 3 splits. So you can go through all these points, and use of nitrification inhibitor is very, very important. These are all chemical nitrification inhibitors which have been added in urea to improve its nitrogen use efficiency. So they are all synthetic nitrification inhibitors developed by developed countries like US, Germany, Japan. They have developed these things, and they are being used by them in their lawns and perennial crops. They use these, for example, first one is nitraparin. Nitraparin was the first nitrification inhibitor which was developed by Dow Chemical from America, USA. So nitraparin is known as your N-serve, nitrogen serve, which is used at half kg, 0.5 kg per hectare. It is mixed in urea and applied. It increases nitrogen use efficiency. It is the most it is the best which increases the highest nitrogen use efficiency or nitrogen recovery in any case. It is used as a reference nitrification inhibitor, still reference nitrification inhibitor, nitraparin or DCD. These are the two important reference nitrification inhibitor. Those who are making studies on nitrification inhibition, they use these two nitrification inhibitors. And others are thiourea, MT, AM, etc. But problem with these nitrification inhibitor was that they were very, very expensive. In Japan, Germany, US, they are still mixing it in urea at the time of manufacture, and then by default they are using them. Now you see in India, we could not afford, our farmers could not afford the use of synthetic inhibitors. So India developed this neem coated urea, and in brief, this is history in brief. You can go through it, and the main work was done by Division of Agronomy and Division of Agriculture Chemicals. And main players from Division of Agriculture Chemicals were Dr. B.S. Parmar, Dr. Dev Kumar, Dr. C. Dev Kumar, and Dr. Rajesh Kumar. And from agronomy, mainly it was done by Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Dr. Y.S. Chive, etc. So you can see the work is started with neem cake coated urea. In the beginning, you powder the neem cake, mix it with the urea at the rate of 20% by weight, and then its use efficiency was found to be good. And then the next product came by Pusa, IRE, Dr. Prasad. Pusa neem golden urea, it was tested in many crops, but it did not work well. And then Dr. Shive developed the neem oil emulsion coated urea. This was the turning point in neem coated urea technology. And then Pusa neem micro emulsion coated urea was tested at IRI farm, at farmers field, at several field. And finally we got this neem coated urea, neem oil coated urea, and its optimum levels have to be 1000 ppm. Coating should be there, which gives you maximum benefit. However, government fixed it at 350, which is also good, 350 ppm of neem coated urea. And then just few more slides, friend, maybe 10, 15, just 10 minutes more. Those who have really class and they want to leave, they can leave. They will get attendance, and they can also use this recording. So I don't want to stop you from attending other class. Now, main points I want to discuss about NPK. Just NPK, what are the important points? Number one, you can remember, cereals need more nitrogen than legumes. It is known to you. Only 50% of fertilizer nitrogen applied to crops is utilized. These are the average value. Normally for rice, it is 30 to 40%. For wheat, it may be 40 to 50%. Nitrogen is lost to the atmosphere as ammonia by volatilization, denitrification as N2O or other nitrogen oxides. Nitrogen also leaches down as nitrates, also ammonical nitrogen. There is leaching of ammonical nitrogen also, and nitrogen is also lost through surface runoff when you have excess rain or excess water or drainage and erosion. Soil erosion also removes nitrogen. And then main points for improving the use efficiency of nitrogen is particularly fertilizer. Today, our lecture was directed more towards fertilizer. We dealt with fertilizer. We just ignored the organic sources of nutrient, because not much work has been done on use efficiency of nutrients from different organic sources. Such work is mostly has resulted from fertilizers. So therefore, today we are dealing for nutrient use efficiency of fertilizers. So how to improve the use efficiency of nitrogenous fertilizer? Nitrogen applied at seeding should be deep placed. Whenever we apply it at sowing, it should not be applied on the surface. If you apply nitrogenous fertilizer on the surface, their volatilization is very fast. Losses are very fast. Also, when you apply water, there may be some losses of urea as such. So, and also sometimes there is a very wrong idea among the farmers. What they do, they first apply urea on the surface of the soil in the standing crop, say sugar cane or rice, and then they apply water or even wheat. I have seen they broadcast or top dress the fertilizer in wheat and then they apply water followed by water or irrigation. Then this way their urea is completely leached down. So what happens? First you apply irrigation. After irrigation, when you can easily move in the field, when it reaches, when you can easily broadcast your fertilizer, then you go into the field, then broadcast it in most conditions. Inclusion of legume is always useful, which will increase the nitrogen use efficiency. Application of organic manure and crop residues is important. Use of nitrification urease inhibitor. Now it is important that India has developed neem-coated urea, and now we have this neem-coated urea mainly acts as nitrification inhibitor. Its action is nitrification inhibitor. However, now scientists are thinking, let us go for double coating. We can also provide one coating for urease inhibitor. So people are doing some research, but again, urease inhibitors are expensive, difficult to be afforded by farmers. And also slow release fertilizer, coated fertilizer. This concentrated fertilizer I will discuss in one lecture, and use of biofertilizer I will discuss. Phosphorus, in case of phosphorus, how to improve the efficiency of phosphorus fertilizer. For making phosphorus fertilizer, both phosphate rock and sulfur have to be imported. Means we need to make it judicious to use. We should increase its efficiency. For soil having pH 7 or above, phosphate fertilizer must have 30 to 50% water soluble P. Otherwise, you cannot use. In you say acidic soil, we can use water insoluble phosphatic fertilizer, but in alkaline soil, you cannot use it. Only 15 to 20% of applied phosphorus is taken up by a crop. So means the use efficiency is very low. So that means it will have some residual effect to the succeeding crop. So when we make recommendation of the succeeding crop, we should take into account the residual effect also. On acid soils, ground rock phosphate can be directly applied. Single superphosphate should be preferred over DAP because it supplies sulfur. But right now, people are using more of DAP. Consumption of SSP is declining. Now, you would surprise that what is the reason? If SSP is supplying sulfur and it is good than DAP, then why farmers have abandoned it? Why they do not like it? Why they like DAP? The simple answer is that there was a lot of adulteration or mixing in SSP. Lot of spurious material was there in the market. So there was no response. Farmers disliked it, that it is not doing anything. So they are switching over from SSP to DAP because of that. Apply organic manures and incorporate crop residues. That will also give you some phosphorus. Now in case of potassium, as we know that most of the alluvial and black soils are fairly high in available K. So mostly we should give fertilizer based upon the soil test values. In red loams and laterite soils which are poor in K, we need to apply adequate potassic fertilizer. Yielding varieties, hybrids and intensive cropping system are continuously depleting K, particularly cereals and starchy crops. They remove more potassium even than nitrogen. So large quantities of potassium are removed by the crops. All K fertilizer are imported, we need to keep in mind. And K can also leach from soil, and irrigation water partially supplies certain amount of potassium. So these are few points. And overall, what should be our strategies to increase potash use efficiency? So about 60 to 70% of K is removed by crops in a straw. So that is the best way. Why farmers are taking out their straw? They can put it right there in the field. But one point I want to tell you as a scientist, that when you burn the crop residues, potassium is not lost. Potassium is not lost, rather its availability increases. I'm not saying that you go for residue burning. In residue burning, nutrients are decomposed. The work which was supposed to be done by bacteria, fungi, etc., has been done by fiber. Your nutrients have come in available form. They are in the ash. Of course, one should not go for burning, but it has got some advantages also. Of course, you lose nitrogen, you lose some phosphorus, little phosphorus and sulfur also. But it has got some advantages also. As a scientist, I am speaking, but we should not burn it. So, and also, in case of Barsim, those who have seen the Barsim crop, in Barsim, it is a practice. Farmers apply this ash from their homes. We burn cow dung cakes or upla, we burn it, and then the rock or ash is there. That ash is applied in many crops, in many vegetable crops, and it gives you very quick response. So all ash from cow dung cakes should be returned to the soil, and crop producing starchy foods such as potatoes, sweet potatoes and tapioca need more K. In acid sandy soils, leaching of K could be rapid. General remarks, just one or two more slides. General remarks for NPK. Soil test recommendations should be followed. This is simple for NPK. If you want to increase the use efficiency of these, include a legume in a cropping system, adopt the cropping systems. Balanced use of nutrients is necessary, including secondary nutrients, micronutrients, efficient cultural practices. All agronomic practices should be efficient. We discussed about that, and just summarizing it. And of course, this balanced fertilization and INM is the answer. Now you can see about balanced fertilization from these tables. Column number 1 are different crops. Number 2 is control, means yield without NPK. No fertilizer was added. And then next column, amount of nitrogen applied, 40, 40, 40, last 150 for sugarcane. And then if you apply nitrogen alone, you get agronomic efficiency 14, 11, 11. But if you add P and K also, if you just add P and K to it, the agronomic efficiency is almost doubled. From 14 it has become 27. For 11, about 7 time increase. From 11, 20, 0.85 times, 0.85 times, 8.5 times, sorry. 5 to 15, 20 to 39. What I mean to say, that balanced fertilization will increase the use efficiency of nitrogen. That is important. From here, you can see if you apply zinc with NPK, in some cases, this data was reported for wheat. So in wheat, if you apply zinc with NPK, the use efficiency increases, or the yield, in terms of yield, you can see. If you use NPK, it is totally controlled. If you use 50, 13, 20 kg NPK, your grain yield is 2.88. 2.88 if you have 5 kg zinc. If you have 0 zinc, yield is 2.73. So due to 5 kg zinc only, your yield has increased from 2.73 to 2.88. And if you increase it further to 10, it has gone to 3 tons per hectare. Similarly at 100 kg also. So this slide is showing you the value of balanced fertilization. If in NPK, along with NPK, if you increase the zinc, it increases the yield of the wheat. This perhaps the last slide. Just to summarize, it is from Dr. H. Pathak, who has done a lot of work on nitrogen and fertilizer use efficiency, good publications, and he's director of one institute in India. So I just borrowed this slide from his presentation. So you can see that what are the options, strategic options for this nutrient use efficiency increase are improving supply and demand synchrony. I think we discussed this as a principle of soil fertility. So we need to synchronize the supply with the demand. If there is no demand, why to apply nutrient? It will be wastage. So nutrient use efficiency will be low. Soil health should be improved by adding organic matter, by improving chemical, physical, biology. It is gagar mein sagar. It is so much improvement in soil health. It is too much. Means it is not that easy to improve the soil health, but we can consider to improve it. And improvements in varieties. As I told you that we need to develop or identify genotypes which are nutrient use efficient. Tools and technology, latest tools and technologies are available. Leaf color chart, decision support system, certain modeling is there, crop modeling have been developed. Remote sensing can be employed, GIS can be used, precision farming. You will have a lecture on precision nutrient management also, site-specific nutrient management also by Dr. V.K. Singh, head of the department. So you will also have lecture on essential nutrients, etc. from Dr. V.K. Singh. And then management options, your all agronomic things, what we discussed today, site-specific nutrient management, INM, application methods, fertilizer formulation, new fertilizer materials, and integrated crop management. Policy options are also there. Communication and dissemination of the technologies. This is important. Lot of information is already available, but it is not reaching the farmer. That is important. Improving management skills of the farmers, private-public partnership, and so on. So thank you very much. And those who are interested can attend their classes. And tomorrow we will meet at 10 o'clock. Okay. So if you have anything to say, any question you want to ask, you are welcome. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any question? Any question? All are present. Don't worry. Now I will not waste time. Those who are interested can come. Even if one comes, I will take the class. So from my side, all are present now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So don't worry about this. And tomorrow, is it okay at 10?
Yes.
Okay. I will reduce my time.
Yes.
I will reduce my time to 1 hour. Okay. So I will not take for 1.5 hours.
Okay, sir.
Or if you like, I can continue. So any question, friends?
No.
No question? So thank you very much. Wish you all the best. Have a nice day.